your girl Brittany here, and welcome to BrittPositivePodcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope everyone's having a wonderful, amazing day. And before we get into our topic of the day, we have our Brit Positive quote of the day, which is, no relationship is all sunshine, but two people can share one umbrella and survive the storm together. I thought this would be very appropriate for us to share it with you guys because since this week we are heading to Valentine's Day on Friday, so I thought that quote was really nice to hear. Now, to keep up with us here, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and you can listen to us on YouTube and Podbean. If you're listening to us on YouTube, then click that subscribe button and notification button as well to get notified and to see when we have posted. And to listen to us on Podbean, you can click that follow button to join the Brit Positive Bam Bam and download this podcast so you can listen to it on the go. Now, I'd like to introduce two guest co-hosts for today because of this special Valentine's Day podcast, my two friends, Dwayne and Felicia.
The crowd is going wild. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys for coming. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Like, how was the drive and everything here?
It was not bad.
Yeah.
The roads are pretty clear, so can't complain.
Oh my goodness. It is winter here in Canada, you guys. So in case you guys are listening and you're in the sunny, warm area, we're not getting that right now.
Nope.
So
Not even close.
no. So are you guys ready for our topic of the day?
Oh yeah, I'm so
I'm
pumped.
so ready.
Okay, because our topic of the day is relationship advice, and we are looking for the positive in a relationship. How do you guys feel about that?
Good.
Feeling pretty good. I mean, freshly engaged, so
Yeah.
you
Oh my.
know,
Yes,
lots of
guys.
positivity flowing.
Guys, these two are recently engaged. Do you guys mind to tell me the story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, what's funny is I normally take the responsibility for this and
Okay.
kind of lay out the structure of the story.
Right.
And then Felicia will hit you guys with the key facts, like the things that actually matter. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
I can rant for days.
Okay. So you go for it.
Before we actually talk about the actual engagement, I just have to say, finding a ring in the city is so difficult.
Really?
I had one designer tell me that she had no schedule for when she would be in the store. She had no real like appointments that she would take. I just had to kind of show up and see if I caught her. And I was like, okay, this is not how I want to start
to
this
be.
thing.
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
know, like this is a big thing. So anyways, we were very blessed. I found this amazing designer that helped me like from start to finish. And I was able to design the perfect ring, like exactly what she wanted. Which
You
was
designed
really
it?
cool, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we knew that we were approaching the season in our life. So she gave me some hints and some tips and tricks, and I really needed it because
You had no idea going in.
no idea. If she just left me to my ways, she would have been all blinged out and nah. So
Like looking like a rapper.
yeah. Yeah, so it was great because she really gave me that direction into, it also gave me insight into who she is and what kind of things she likes, which is I think great for a future husband. I mean, that's what it's all about.
So like you gave him some tips on what you liked, or was it the
I don't
ring
know if
lady?
it was tips, really.
Build instructions.
Yeah, I found a few pictures on Instagram, saved a bunch of them, and kind of just sent them his way. And it was just like, this is the type of things that I was looking at, and it was pretty easy. He wasn't like pushing back or anything like that.
Yeah.
He was just very open about it, and I told him that I really wanted a sapphire inside. I just really like blue, and that's something that I really wanted. And it just happens to be sapphire is his birthstone, which is pretty sweet.
Meant to be
So,
you guys.
Yeah. It was really easy to, I guess, like show him the things that I really like, and it's good that he was very open to it. I know some people are not, so it's good that he was open and he received it very well.
That's really good. That's awesome. So where did this take place? Like, how did you get yourself prepared to like ask the question, like to pick the day, the time, the location, those
Okay.
kind of things?
I'm gonna expose myself a little bit here.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
I have some extra tendencies. Like I could be really extra.
Okay.
So I've actually proposed to this woman right here 3 times.
Whoa. Wait a minute. 3 times?
3 times with 3 different rings.
Wow, so you're just waiting for that one good ring to say yes.
I said yes
She said yes each time, to be fair.
Okay.
You're getting the inside scoop here. So actually, the first time that I proposed to her was very soon into the relationship, maybe like, what, 2 months in?
I would like to say it's like maybe a month in.
Yeah, I think that's more
We'll
realistic.
see.
Wait, so you proposed to her the first time 2 months in the relationship.
Yeah.
How did you know in 2 months you wanted to marry her?
I
Even though
knew-
you're like amazing, but like,
I feel like this is something we'll get into more detail later. But
Okay.
I knew from the first time I saw her, and it was more like, how can I make this happen?
really?
Yeah. So the first time that I proposed to her, we were just chilling at my place, had some music going in the background, feeling the vibe, and I'm like, I just want you to be my wife. And she's like, so go then, put a ring on it. So I'm like, no, bet? Like, really? She's like, yeah, put a ring on it then. So I had this like loose little piece of leather, and I was like, all right, fine, give me your finger. So tied it, a nice little bow, and I was like, will you marry me? And she's like, yeah, let's do this.
Wow,
So-
you guys!
That happened.
What?
Yeah. So it wasn't like the kind of ring where you wear it all the time, you walk around. There was no announcement. It was really just for us.
Okay.
Right? And then the second time
Oh my gosh.
was actually December 20th of this year. Last year, sorry. Yeah.
2019.
And yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of have something special just for us, not like a big public engagement where everyone was involved. So I had this white gold ring made in the same form of a bow as the little piece of leather from the first
Oh
one.
my god.
And yo, your boy left work early. Yo, I was in the kitchen cooking up. So I fixed this nice meal for us, lots of snacks. I reserved a theater room in our building. So we had like the whole theater to ourselves, which
Oh
is amazing.
my gosh. Okay.
So yeah, we just watched a movie, like holding hands, enjoying treats. It was really nice. And then we went back upstairs to my place. It was nice and quiet, had a few candles going, and I just told her that I'm ready, and I want us to step into that next phase of our life together. Proposed to her with that ring. Got the second yes. And yeah, so that was the second time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I don't know, for me, that was the engagement. That part was really
The
special
second
to me.
time,
The
not
second
the
time.
not the string.
No, the string time was more like,
A promise, I say?
yeah,
Promise,
more of a
like
promise,
I see
yeah.
us going end game kind of thing.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay, and the third time is definitely with this one.
Yeah, so the third time was with full hardware,
Mm-hmm.
everything set up. There was designers involved. There was, guys chipping away at the gem. Got some people working on the ring. So for that one, we actually had already decided where we were going to get married. So we knew what church we wanted to get married at. So it was Christmas Eve, and I was just like, let's just go like take a look around, see
Right.
all like the photo ops and kind of like where we can take photos.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking around, and in my head the whole time I'm just like, I gotta find the perfect spot, because we had never actually been there before.
Yeah.
And right next to the front doors where you go in, there was this little bench with this light shining down. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. So I'm like, okay, well, I actually got you an early Christmas present, but I forgot it in the car. Let's just walk back and grab it.
Okay.
So we walk back to the car, we grab her Christmas present, and we go and like set up on that bench. And I was just kind of like, okay, so like this is your Christmas present, just wanted to celebrate just us, because
Right.
the day after we had a bunch of family stuff going on.
Right.
And it was actually, her gift was a book. And I designed these two little avatars, and I don't know if you're ever familiar with Love Book. Plug
Yeah.
for Love Book, it's
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
And you can kind of just create the story of how you guys met, and all the reasons that you love them. So yeah, so I had that little book put together.
Oh my goodness!
And-
You came up with all of this?
Yeah, I can do a little too much.
You
Yeah.
have like a very strong romantic side. Like, oh my goodness. Ladies, he's taken, okay?
So yeah, so at the end of the book, when she reached the end, I was just like, okay, well now it's like my turn to read. And it was like all the reasons why I love her, the things I love about us, love the way that we met. And for all of these reasons, this is why you're my best friend, and I know I'll love you forever.
I'm not crying. You were crying.
And then in brackets it said, also marry me, please. And I was already popped down on one knee.
Oh my goodness!
And I got my third yes. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Did I tell it properly this time? Yeah? Okay.
Pretty cool.
Oh my goodness, guys, this is my first time hearing this story too, so like you're getting my real reaction to this. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you cry, Felicia?
I teared up a little bit in the third one, I think, and the second one. I didn't expect the first one and the third one, it was unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one, I kind of had a feeling because I was like, there's no way he's leaving work early to do nothing, you know? So I was just like, he's definitely doing something. Something is up. And I already knew that, we talked about it and it was going to be around like before the end of the year.
Right.
So I think I was just like kind of anxious too. Like, I feel like something's going on. What's going on?
Yeah.
And I think I knew the second time and the third time, which is kind of a bonus, which is, it was nice. It was really unexpected, and it was just nice that it was the two of us, and that we were kind of just able to enjoy the moment together. Yeah.
Well, guys, that's the story of how they got engaged. So, I mean, now you guys are just planning the wedding and getting ready for the big day, which is, wedding bells, which you guys won't know because that's between them. But thank you guys for sharing that. That is so sweet. Dwayne, oh my gosh, man. You are like a storybook.
Yep.
So men out there, if you're listening, take some tips from him. Don't do exactly what he did, because of course it has to come from you and how you are with the girl and the lady and all. But that's really great. Thank you guys for sharing. That's awesome. So our topic, we're just like looking at the fact that how like we get into a relationship, especially for young adults or even anyone who's an adult, really more in adult range, of like how you guys like start dating and relationships and like what to look for when you're starting one. Because you found out in 2 months that you were like, oh, I want her for my wife and everything. But maybe not a lot of people are lucky that way, where they figure it out right there and then. So for my first question for you guys is just, what are things to look for, when you start dating somebody? Like, what are the couple of things that they can kind of keep in mind when they go on that first date? Because even so, some people go on a date and it's like, it feels like an interview nowadays. It's not something where it's organic and you really like, there's a connection first. You're like looking if you're compatible, which is fine, but it should still be something where you could go out and have fun, be yourself, and see if there's a natural connection. And I know I've heard a bit of young adults kind of having negative experience on a first date. Sometimes they don't come ready, or they make girls pay nowadays. Not that that's bad, because I know there's that whole like equality thing going. I don't know. I'm old school. I do believe guys should pay on a first date if they're asking a girl out. But hey, to each their own. What is something that two people should look for in a relationship when they start to date? Not even relationship, just dating.
As the only guy in the studio, I'm going to come out and say, if you're taking a lady out on a first date, pay for the first date.
Okay.
And ladies, yes, there's all this equality stuff. If you're on a first date, just make the reach. That's all. That's it. I mean, it's time proven. It works.
Okay.
And I think that men and women can have the same goals in a relationship, but I think that the way they approach the relationship is very different, and it's important that men show that intentionality in the beginning.
Okay.
And that's why I'm pro paying for the first date, because it shows that intention. It's not about, oh, I have the money, I can provide. It's more showing the intention, like you're taking this seriously, you're taking the time set aside, you set the resources aside. This is someone that you're actually serious about getting to know.
Right. That's good. I mean, that's a good tip right there. What do you think, Felicia?
I think as a girl, I wasn't really looking for anything like on the first date. When I say anything, I just mean just enjoy yourself, really. Like, don't expect a lot from a first date. Like, just have fun. Try to have fun. Be yourself more than anything. I think, like, for our first date, I don't remember what we did. Oh, we had dinner and we went to like a ceramic class, and it was just natural. We were also lucky that we were friends before we started dating, so it wasn't like a first date kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, and then we went to go get ice cream after, and it was unplanned, but it was one of those things that's like, I feel like I'm not just gonna rely on him fully just on paying for everything, because I don't think that's right as a woman. And I would want to show that, yeah, like this is an equal thing. It's not just the man pays for everything, the woman just sit back and relax. I don't think that's right. That's just my personal opinion. I do think that the lady should, you know, like at least try a little bit, if not like, you know, paying for an ice cream is not that big of a deal, you know, like it's ice cream, guys. So yeah, I just think that people should just be themselves and just relax and try your best to enjoy yourself, you know, and
like it's supposed to be fun.
it is supposed to be fun, exactly, yeah.
I feel like a date can be fun, and I want where it doesn't have to feel pressure on, but I feel a lot of nowadays, like people going out, there's that pressure of like who's paying, who's not paying, or, you know, if she doesn't pay, doesn't mean like she's a gold digger where she's just dating me for, you know, to get stuff from me, which I feel bad for the guys, for men out there with that, because there are some girls who do that, like they have that intention, so we can't just beat around the bush and say that's never the case. That is, sometimes that's why the insecurity's there. But also for men, just like taking a woman on a date, there's that whole like, that the attitude, the thoughts of who, you know, what this is, because women kind of like to have a status as well, like are we being serious, or this is just a quick little one date, see how it goes. It's just a lot of questions in that first date where I'm like, all right, let's look for the positive in this. Okay, you just go out, have fun, you know, get to know one another, simply see it as like making a new friend, you know, and just see if there's that friendship base first, I believe, right? And then afterwards you take it from there to see if there's that attractive feeling to one another, and that if you enjoy their company, because if this is a person you want to date continuously, if even going into a relationship, you're going to be spending a lot of time with them. So it's like, is this the time you want to spend with someone who brings you a happy feeling or a good feeling, or someone who makes you question too many things? That's when you just back away, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they should still continue. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this whole thing of going on a date and saying, okay, I have to determine in this 1 hour or 2 hour period whether or not I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. It's so much pressure, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
Yeah.
Now people just don't want to even date. Like, it's just...
Well, that's it. I mean, who can live under that kind of pressure? And then it's like, let's say you actually do go forward and you continue dating this person. Now it's kind of like, I've put a stamp of approval on this person already. It's so difficult to just get out of it, but you're still getting to know the person, right? So I think one of the things I love about my relationship with Felicia is that it started out as a friendship. We had that opportunity to have social outings together. We serve at church together, so we got to actually build something together, and it showed that we have the same work ethic, we have the same values. So I would say treat a first date like a hangout with a friend, really. Just be a little safer than you would a friend. Like, you don't know them, don't pop over to their house, but have fun with them like a friend, and I think that's...
Watch a movie, go bowling, just an activity you think would be a good one?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, guys, try an activity.
Like these coffee dates and these dinner dates for first dates, I don't know how practical it is. It's fun, but it's not that practical.
I mean, they can try, like, the coffee date. I think if they were to even do a coffee date, should the girl, like, pay for her own coffee?
No.
No.
This is the whole problem with it.
This is the thing, because if they go somewhere expensive, does the girl pay for the guy's steak?
I think that this whole expectations of, oh, am I gonna pay? Is he gonna pay? It just puts unnecessary strain, and that's why when we went on our first date, I was like, can I take you out? I took that off the table right away, and I think as a man, that's the biggest kindness that you can do for someone that you're actually dating is at least set the boundaries from the beginning. If you're gonna go Dutch and split the bill 50-50, say so in the beginning.
Okay.
If you cannot go to that person and say, I want to pay for my bill and you pay for yours in the beginning and set that precedent, then you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
So I told her, I want to take you out. I paid for the ceramics class, I paid for the dinner, and then we decided to go get ice cream after, and she got the ice cream. And it was just nice. It was balanced. The boundaries and the expectations were set up beforehand, and then she called an audible at the end and decided to pay for it, and I let her. And I think that's something that's important as a couple, is that you're able to kind of vibe together and understand where you're both at, who's doing what, who's responsible for what, and then if one of you calls an audible, to just kind of roll with it. True. And that speaks to values and compatibility.
Okay, so there's a few tips, guys, to look for on a first date. Just so, make sure go as friends. you know, and also don't worry about who pays what. Just kind of, it's an unspoken language. I guess that's a sign to see if you guys even have like a good connection. If you can unspoken things to each other, like, hey, I got this, but like, you know, you both are mutually agreeing to it, as against, you know. But then also, even hearing the Dutch thing, I mean, for me, if a guy's like, hey, I want to take you out, and then he's like, all right, you pay your bill, I pay mine, I'm gonna think he doesn't even like me. Like,
That's my point.
I'm just gonna be like, okay, why did you want to go out with me again? Like, for me to see me pay for my own food, like, you know, so that's how I take that. But hey, okay, I have a good question here. It's like, do you believe like a girl nowadays, because we're in 2020 and women are like, you know, doing their own thing, is it okay for a woman to ask out a guy? Now, I know some guys who are okay with it, but what's your opinion on it, since you're a male? And then I'm gonna throw the question back to Felicia.
So ask out to be in a relationship or ask out on a date?
Just a date, like a woman ask a guy on a date.
100% yes.
You think that's
Go
okay?
for it.
No way.
Yes, go for
Really?
it.
Why?
Well, I just think that, you know, you should go after what you want. There's nothing wrong with being a little more vulnerable and letting somebody know that you want to spend time with them. You don't have to be like, yo, I like you. I want to take you out on a date. I want us to get engaged. I want us to get married.
Like, she did the whole thing.
But yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with just being like, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? You know, do you want to go out and grab a bite, or do you want to go bowling with me? Like,
It's not unattractive to a guy?
no, I don't think so.
All right. Felicia, what do you think?
I think if you want to do it, I say go for it. But I personally, as a female, as a woman, I would not have done that. Just because, like, I am very much old school, where it's like, okay, I want the guy to like make the first move and all that stuff. I know not everybody's like that, and that's understandable. But me as a person, you know, like, I would like that men to kind of, you know, like, exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, I just got to add one thing to this, okay? Growing up as a teenager guy, there is nothing more stressing than approaching a girl and you don't know what the answer is going to be yet, okay? I'm going to share a little backstory here. Before we actually became friends and started dating,
Oh no.
I did ask her to hang out, and I got shut down brutally.
Oh my gosh, no.
Brutally.
Wow.
So what had happened was we were both serving on the same team. And I was like, I'm still at that phase where I was trying to figure out, like, how can I get to know her? How can I see more of her qualities? So we had to, like, make these pretzels, and my pretzels came out a certain way. And I'm like, hey, Felicia, I just want to make sure that the consistency is right. Maybe, like, my brother and I can pop over for an hour and make some pretzels together, and you can kind of see and like the recipe. Mm-hmm. She's like, no, I'm busy. I was like, what? She's like, I'm busy. You can just call me and tell me how they are. And I'm like, I'm not trying to call you, I'm trying to hang out with you.
But see, that's not what I got from that. That's not at all what I got from that. I was just like, it's a pretzel. Like, how bad could it be?
All I'm saying is, ladies, men have been trying to figure out ways to approach women since the beginning of time. Just help us out a little bit. Help us out just a tiny little bit, and it'll go a very long way.
Okay, but here's the thing. Men gotta approach, but men are the hunters. Y'all gonna have to figure it out anyway. Like, you know, when you think about it, think about when men like go out to hunt for food. Like, they try to like look at their prey and get that missile or whatever ready, that arrow, to like get that shot right so that they get the win, the dinner. So, you know, with you had to try different things, but at the end of the day, you won the meal. I'm not referring to you. That's the worst metaphor, but you got the prize, okay? You got the diamond. So, but you had to, you know, put your thinking cap on and figure out different things to do because you didn't know her too. So that's the one thing too. Like, I think it's easier too if you are a guy and a girl and you're friends, it's much easier for you to be able to approach the person that you like because you know them a bit, right? But if you're just kind of just beginning to know somebody, yeah, you had to do different things to get her attention.
Yeah, but I think the best way is to always start with friendship.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the type of person that's looking to build something long-lasting, start with friendship. You don't have to hop into the dating phase right away. You know, like, get to know the person, create some positive memories with them, some happy moments, so that when you actually do start to date them, you already have history, you have context into their background, what their values are, how well you get along with them, what kind of person they are, and then you can actually make a sound decision. It's not just like taking shots in the dark and hoping you land on what you actually want, right? So.
Oh, good on. God, you coming through today. Okay, so our next one here is, what are the positive things to look for when a couple starts a relationship? So we looked at first dates and dating, the beginning of dating, and now we're looking at when you've dated now long enough to say, okay, let's start a relationship. What are certain signs to look for when you're saying, okay, I want to start a relationship with this person? Is it based on the fact that that person pays for the dates all the time? Because I don't want things to look, I don't want the image of like finances is what makes people wanting to say, all right, let's be together because you can pay for my meal and pay for this and that. You want to look for the positive and like, what are those key things to say, yeah, I could start a relationship with this person? Is it that they make you laugh? Is it because of the friendship, the core of it? Is it spiritual, where it's like there's that spiritual connection with somebody? I can name a few, but you guys go first.
Well, I think money should be taken off the table right away as I guess an indicator.
But some girls are guilty of that. Like they
Yeah,
like that
but
financial security.
That's like the very beginning of the relationship. Once you're actually in a relationship with somebody and you're out of the dating phase, you should really just let all that stuff just slide away, right? Because the ultimate goal of that is to come together into one. So even with Felicia and I, we don't even keep track of who pays for what. We just we find our own rhythm, because at the end of the day, our intention is to come together as one. So I think that when you're looking at getting into a relationship with someone and what's important to you, at that point you should already understand how the financial dynamic works, and you should be on to other more important things, right? So Felicia, do you want to go ahead and give the first one?
I think, well, for me anyways, spirituality, I guess, is a big thing. And, being able to find somebody at church and, is a Christian and, he has the values that a Christian man has. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me to start a relationship. Excuse me. And I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I guess communication was one of the biggest things. I know he came from a family where they over-communicate, whereas me, it was complete opposite. So it was really hard, and I know that it was something that was really important for me, and that it really helped me in who I am today. And it's, he's helped me a lot when it comes to communication and how to communicate, what to say, and how to say it, and just things like that. You might overlook that, but I think it's one of the most important things that I think that is important in a relationship. And I would say honesty. Honestly, that's like the biggest thing, I think. Even coming into the relationship, it was really, really, I think, difficult for us to just, well, maybe for me, to be honest, more so. But that's something that you just have to overcome and learn. And at the end of the day, it's better to be honest than not. And yeah, being honest just opens up like a lot more, like, and you're just more vulnerable, and like he's able to see that, and he's able to like respect that and see that. So I think that's, like I said, 3 important things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I would say if you are to start a relationship after dating and all those things, I would just mention the spiritual thing as well. Just like, I think that religion in some cultures is such an important thing, so make sure you have that connection with somebody. I would also look at the fact that the friendship is a core thing. I just don't think any relationship can work without at least being friends with that person. And the fact that you guys, I don't know, this is a dumb word, but vibe. It's just like a natural vibe, that it's like an unexplainable connection. You just connect. You're not trying to connect. It's just, there's that connection. I believe those are 3 important things to look for when you're starting a relationship, where I'm not thinking too much when I'm around the person. I'm just being me, that kind of thing, So there's a couple of those positive tips for you guys there. When you're starting a relationship, those are certain things you can look for, I saw this thing, a book saying, if somebody says, you make me happy, run. Because it's like, you have to look at the fact that that person who says that, like, hey, you make me happy, it's like, are they making you happy though? Because some people will be in a relationship where it's like what you do for them, but like, what are you doing for, you know, what are they doing for you, you know? So it's like things like that you should look out for when you are in a relationship, just because you want it to be equal. You don't want it where you're just giving and they're taking, or vice versa. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. When we started our relationship, I was actually really broken from a previous relationship, and I was single for a reason, because I was healing and I was allowing myself to reconnect with who I was as a person. And when we started dating, it was maybe not, I wasn't fully through that process. And to that point of, if somebody makes you happy, you run. One of the things I love the most about our relationship is that Felicia supported me, but she also left me to do the work that I needed to do to get myself to a place where I was happy. And, you know, like in the moment, it may have been painful for me, but it also helped me grow a lot, right? And I can now be secure internally and bring my best to the relationship and actually support her when she needs me to. Whereas if I was looking at her to make me happy whenever she had a difficult time, I wouldn't be able to support her, because I would be like, well, now I'm not happy because you're not making me happy anymore, right? So I think that that's a really good point, and it's something that's really important. It's not that black and white, you know, like, oh, I have to be happy. How do I get happy? I follow these steps, and you get there. It's really just looking inside of yourself and putting things in your life that add value to you outside of your relationship. And one of the biggest indicators, in my opinion, of a healthy relationship is you being able to add the other person without removing those things, right? Obviously, there's some kind of compromise, you know, like if you're at the gym 7 days a week, maybe that's not necessarily realistic if you're bringing someone into your life and then, you know, you get married and you have kids and all of those things. Maybe it is, but it all depends on your partner. But I think being able to add the person and not lose all of those aspects that made you who you are and what made you happy is a huge indicator of whether or not you're with the right person.
Right. I hear what you're saying, and when I think too, it's like that codependency. Like when you're in a relationship, don't go in one thinking of that person having to work, like they're supposed to help you. You know, I think a lot of times when and this is why some relationships don't work out, is that you're putting that pressure, that thought process of like, that person's supposed to do this and supposed to do that. It's like, you have to take that time to look at what are you supposed to do, and not for them, but more so for you, because you were born in this world alone. You're gonna die alone, you know? So, I mean, that's very morbid, but I'm just saying, like, you know, you're gonna have your own personal struggles still, whether you're in a relationship or not, and you're gonna have to deal with them either way. The person can just only support you and help you and encourage you, which is something everyone can do for you, but you still at the end of the day have to work on yourself. So, you know, if you find somebody who is willing to grow with you and support you in your growth, then that's one of another reasons that you can go into that relationship. That's one of those things you could say, yeah, I can go with somebody like this, because you're not depending on them to make you happy. They're going through life together, enjoying the journey it brings with that special person. Our next question here is, how do you know you found the one? And the one is so kind of like, you know, everywhere. Some people think love is like, you find the one by love at first sight. I've had those stupid moments though. I'll put myself out there. I'll sometimes think like, oh my gosh, that person's looking at me. Like, is this a sign? When it's like, no, they're just staring, but okay. But finding the one, I've asked this question to many people, and some people will say like, we've been friends for years and I never felt the way I have with anyone but that person. Or, you know, this is an answer I get a lot too. They were like, you just know. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you know? Like, what is it? What's the know thing? Like, did something fall on your head? And then you're like, oh my gosh, that's the one. You know, like, what's the sign that you got to say, this is the person I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with? You know, okay, I'm gonna give it to Dwayne on this one because he knew 2 months time, guys. Okay, so something happened to him to make him be like, she's the one.
Well, for me, it hits on two levels. I actually knew when I first saw her.
Right. Oh my gosh.
That first time I saw her,
What
I
did
knew.
You see her face?
Well, you know, like being someone of faith and having a really strong relationship with God,
Okay.
I've always prayed that He would reveal my partner to me.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout my life, and I've dated a fair bit in my youth, I've always started a relationship, and there was a voice in the back of my head that said, it's not the one. And I said, I could make it the one. Like, if through determination and hard work, this will be my wife. And it never worked.
Really?
And I remember this clearly. The moment that I saw her, that voice in my head said, that's it. And as crazy as that sounds, that is what happened.
Oh, okay.
Now, when it comes to finding the one, I don't think you just know, because even with my story where I knew from the moment I saw her, I also had a few other scenarios where I knew it wasn't, but I chose different. So I think really what it comes down to is a choice. It's being sure enough in yourself and what you want in a person to choose that person and to commit to that person. And I think that that's the only real truth in a relationship. It's a choice to stick with that person through whatever life throws at you guys. You know, and I think that's a big part of why we became friends before we started dating, even though I knew that she was my person.
Yeah.
Right? And it's trusting that God is going to create the scenarios in that.
For you guys
Yeah.
to-
So, I mean, being a person of faith, it was important that my partner was also a Christian, which is something I never believed in before I met her. I would always think like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. Like, find another Christian, make babies and grow more, like, you know, and it just seemed so crazy to me and so ridiculous until I actually experienced it. And I realized what it is. It's that when you meet that person, you don't actually have to actively go out and try and make a way for the two of you to come together. Like if you remember, I crashed and burned when I put it in my own hands. It's actually just being able to step back and let God work on the situation, because your partner also has the same values and the same relationship with God, and He can work through both of you. He can work through the people around you, because we met in church. And I just think that is a big part of knowing that you found the right person. It's not whether you have to go out and get them. It's, can you step back and be yourself and see it come together?
Yeah, okay.
Right? So I think that's really finding the one. It's stepping back and then allowing the situation to manifest in and of itself,
Yeah.
and then being able to make a choice to commit with that person no matter what you encounter.
Okay. That's
I
a
want to
good
hear
one.
Felicia's point of view.
Felicia, maybe you didn't think he was the one from the moment you saw him, especially when he's like, hey, you want to check out the pretzels? And you're like, no, dude, just call me and ask me if they're good. So what was your take on, like, what made you, like, tilt your head and say, this guy's the one for me?
So, okay, so let's backtrack to like when we first met. So we first met in sisterhood, April 6, 2018. I actually didn't know that I knew that he was there and he was new and he was serving and all that stuff, but I was kind of running the show that day and I was going all over the place. I did not know who anybody was. I don't even remember his name. Didn't know who this guy was, okay? So, and then when we started becoming friends, it was clear to me the one time that we hung out together, we were just very comfortable with each other. It was just easy for us to talk about anything and everything, and at that point we were still friends.
Yeah.
And I just knew that, you know, like, if this is someone that can take me for who I am, like, that's it, you know? And I think that was the moment for me where it was like, okay, I think, God, if this is really the one that I've been praying for, you know, like, I just want you to kind of take charge and let it unfold in your time and, you know, the way that you want it to unfold. So that's kind of my take on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to hear something crazy though?
Okay.
That December that she was praying, and it was her whole family that was praying for a partner for her, that's exactly that month over the Christmas break is when God said, quit your job and move to Toronto. And I almost didn't do it.
What?
But from the time that I moved, everything lined up so perfectly.
Yeah.
Finding a place, finding a job, finding a new condo, meeting her, getting plugged into the right church. It's just like, it was crazy. It all just lined up so perfectly, and that's why I was so sure.
So basically, your family's prayers just made him leave where he was and just bring him to the whole, like God just carried him to you. Because he was there like, I don't know why I'm moving to Toronto, but okay. And next thing you know, it's because she's here. Oh my gosh, isn't he wonderful?
So great.
That's awesome. So my take on finding the one, I mean, everyone I think will have a bit of an idea for themselves. I mean, you guys, it's with spiritual for sure. Some people, it's that friendship. I think too, finding the one is just that it's your person. It's that you guys can just be around each other and it never gets boring, like ever, you know? Because I mean, if that's that one, I mean, you want to also be able to be yourself to the fullest, where they see you at your worst, they see you at your best, they see you at your silliest, they see you at your angriest, and they're still like, I love you. You know, I think that's that common thing that we're all looking for, just someone to accept us fully for who we are, because then at the end of the day, you know, we want to be with someone who just accepts us for that. I swear, you guys, if you were here, just see these lovebirds like giving each other the looks like, oh my God, I found the one. Okay, guys, so we have a few questions from the viewers. So you guys want to answer some?
Ooh, exciting.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's see what our lovebirds can help you guys out with the love out there, okay? We'll give you some love advice. We have a question from a viewer asking, if a guy has been giving you mixed messages, but you're like 90% sure he's interested in you, how long do you wait for him to make a move until you move on? Okay, Dwayne wants to answer this one, so let's give it to him.
If you're getting mixed messages, in my personal opinion, he's not showing you enough intention to even get to know you. So, I mean, he can be there, he can be a friend, but I don't think you should wait for anything. You know, I think that the most important thing is that you're both living the lives that you want. And if you're not getting the result that you want out of that your relationship or that situationship or whatever, don't go and try and extract it. You know, and that's why people end up getting so hurt and damaged in these relationships, is you're trying to pull something out of somebody rather than allowing them to release it to you. So I would just say, live your life, find other focuses. And if this person decides that they want to play a bigger part in your life, at that point you can then evaluate if you want them to also. Okay. Right? So I wouldn't say, I don't think you should ever wait for anybody, not unless you're already in an established relationship and they're asking you to give them time in a season in their life. Right. But that's not how it should start.
So if they're not coming up to you, it's an end. It's not the beginning. What do you think, Felicia?
Honestly, I would just ask. I'd be like, so what's the deal? You know, like, what are we doing here? Because I personally do not like it when people waste my time. So for me, it's more like, okay, well, I clearly would know I want it to be something and you're confused. Like, you need to let me know what's going on. Yeah. I think just clearing it up more than anything. Yeah. And then, you know, if he's still unsure, just move on. Yeah. Just, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I am. You have something to say?
Yeah, I do actually. Because I think like it's a guy mentality. Okay. Men are very goal driven. Okay. So if you give me a project or an objective and it's these steps and then you get the result, I could take that journey. It's a short trip. So it's kind of like if a girl comes up to me and I'm kind of like, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and she's kind of like, yo, like if you actually want to be with me, these are the steps. It's like, oh, cool, a nice new project, a little adventure. Okay. You know, like that, take the steps, got the relationship. I'm like, oh man, I'm in a relationship now. And I never evaluated myself if the result was what I wanted. Okay. It was just kind of like a game, which and it sounds really bad, but
that's what guys are doing most days. There's this game of this, like, I'm gonna let her think I want something more when there's Then when the girl's like, okay, let's go for it, he's like,
And that's exactly what I mean. Extracting something from a guy.
yeah.
It's like he's doing what you want, not what he wants. Let him decide. Let him decide what he wants. You decide what you want. Live your best life.
Right.
And maybe somebody will come along while you're not waiting for him and give you everything that you were looking for.
I'd take that advice, ladies. I really would. I would. That's a good one. The next question we have is, the moment I found out this guy's name, I keep seeing his name everywhere I go and look. Used to be less often. Then it became every day. Then it was at least once a day. What does this mean? Wow. I don't want to say it's a sign. I would just say maybe it's deja vu.
I don't know what to say.
I think if you buy a Camry, all you're going to see on the street is Camrys. If you buy a Volvo, you're going to see Volvos. Like, it's always there all around you. It's just what you're actually focused on. So
I think the guy's just in your head and you kind of like him and you don't know what to do, so you're just trying to find a sign. So, and don't try to look for a sign. Things will happen organically if it's the right one. So I don't believe that's anything too deep.
seek friendship first.
Yeah, seek the friendship first. Get to know him, even though you only know his name. That can be anything. So I wouldn't say it means anything, or anything to be worried about. Felicia, you have any thoughts?
No, I do not.
Okay, the next question is, if the guy I'm into is shy and isn't being direct enough about his attraction towards me, how long should I wait for him to make a move?
But has she actually said anything to him?
I mean, I'm assuming they've spoken, but nothing. And I guess she can tell he likes her, but he hasn't done anything to say put his foot forward and say I want to take her out because he's too shy. And shy guys are kind of, hard to figure out.
I think if the girl is, she knows how she's feeling and she knows that she likes him, I would just tell him, be like, hey, buddy, I like you. Can we go for coffee? Or I think it's not just his responsibility, because both of you guys are in this situationship or whatever it is, right? And it's not just 100% on him to make all the calls and all the decisions. You're also somebody else in that relationship or situationship that can also make those calls. Don't just rely fully on him, right? So if you know how you're feeling, let a guy know, like he was saying earlier, help him out, So
I mean, okay, I think there was a switch, okay, with men and women when it's you're in grade school. It's the easiest thing for anyone around that age to be like, I like you. And then you're in a relationship right there and then, right? And then nowadays it's I can't say anything. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to put myself out there. And it's just that unspoken attraction to each other, and you're just sitting there what do we do now? It's sad, but it's happening, okay? And so I'm just saying, for me, it is hard to put yourself out there because a lot of people are afraid of a rejection. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest pain that we're trying to avoid, because then it makes us start thinking something's wrong with us or we're not good enough. And so it's just to avoid that whole thought circling in our minds, we just avoid the person that we don't want to give it a try. So with my thought on that, for you to push that shy guy to say something to you or so, just be good with yourself. Make sure you love yourself first, and then it wouldn't matter if you approach a guy and you're like, hey, I like you, I was thinking we could hang out. Because regardless if he's like, hey, I don't feel the same, but thank you for asking, or so, you don't have to walk away feeling bad about yourself, because nothing you did was wrong. You're a person, you have feelings, and if you felt something for that person, you go for it. And it didn't work out, it's still okay. You move on. You'll meet someone who wants to go for it with you. And, but it's just that fear of rejection that I believe why the guy can be shy and is just not doing it, and you now waiting for him to do it. It's hard for you to put yourself out there because you're afraid of that rejection, or you might be reading the signs wrong. There's all those questions. I think maybe we are getting to a time where it's forget that, just go for it and see what happens, and then you deal with that afterwards, but don't beat yourself up. There's nothing wrong with just putting yourself out there, but even though it's something I gotta work on, because I can't, I feel it's a huge thing. For some people, it's putting yourself out there. It's a huge thing. What do you think, Dwayne, about the shy guy and what she should do about it situation?
So if he's actually a shy guy, if he's not that shy,
Okay.
don't do the advice I'm going to give you. It's going to end up horribly.
Okay.
You're going to feel manipulated at the end of it. But if he is legitimately a shy guy,
Okay.
help him out.
Okay.
You know, I think the sexiest thing a woman has ever said to me is, you're an amazing guy. I just love hanging out with you.
Aw.
Not, I love you, be mine forever. Just, you know, you're cool. Like, I love hanging out with you. You know, and for somebody who's shy and doesn't know how to like put themselves out there that way, or it's really scary for them, it's just kind of like reinforcing how you feel about them. And you don't necessarily even have to put yourself out there that much to do that. You know, you can establish that you value them as a person and that you want to hang out with them. Okay, this is perfect. This is the advice I would give. Let them know that you value them as a person, that you love the way they see life or whatever. You love the way that how talented they are at drawing or whatever the case may be. And then just establish a solid friendship with them of hanging out and doing things.
Okay.
As a shy guy, if he's into you, those feelings are going to be building up inside him. Like, oh, she thinks I'm so cool. You know, she wants to hang out with me. You know, and then as you guys get more familiar with each other, it's going to create more opportunities for him to say something or for you to feel more comfortable saying something, right? So if he is shy, just create more opportunities for you guys to be vulnerable together, and that will kind of bridge the gap between his shyness and him taking initiative in those things. And, you know, you might even become comfortable enough and know him enough to then do what the advice you guys were saying is just like say something.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think shots in the dark or gambling is really the way to go. You know, I think if he's shy, then it's going to take time. And if you think he's worth it, then invest in the friendship, but make it clear that, you know, you really value the qualities that he has. And that will, you know, boost him up. Yeah.
Okay, and we have this other question here. What should I do if the guy I like is a ladies' man and I can't get a moment alone to talk with him / get to know him?
Bye.
Bye. He's not worth it. That's like too many women on his arm for to get by.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, look, I have a lot of female friends.
Okay.
One of my best friends, who's actually a groom's maid in on my side of the wedding, is a girl, a woman. Was it difficult for you to get a moment with me?
Not at all.
Not at all. Like, I am a firm believer that men and women can be friends as long as they are both responsible for where they categorize each other, right? Solid friendship, it won't be anything other than that, and it didn't hinder at all me pursuing Felicia, and it didn't hinder Felicia pursuing me. If it's so hard to get to know him and get a moment with him because there's all these women around, then he's not ready with you. And as harsh as that is, it's the truth. He's not in that mindset with you.
Yeah,
Because if he was, there would be no barriers, right? And if he's flirting with other women, like, is that really what you want in your life? Like, do you want to be checking phones and, you know, like reading into every little action, every delay on the TTC, because you know that happens a lot. You know, it's like, was there really a delay? You're on the website, you know, checking for the warning, the notification.
Right?
Like, you don't want that life, you know? If it's hard to get access to the person, then it's for a reason.
Yeah, they're just not available. What do you think, Felicia?
I don't think he's worth your time, to be quite honest. I think, you know, going back to like what he was saying, I think, you know, if you are important enough for him, he will make the time for you. And, you know, that's what he did. And he will make it clear that, like, you know, those girls are just friends, or if that's the case. If not, then I just don't think it's worth it. I think you're just going to end up, you know, getting heartbroken, and I don't think that's worth it.
Probably it's just he's not the one for you if he's not focusing on you and he has too many ladies distracted. And it's not anything negative towards him. It's just, you're just not in his peripheral vision right now. He's doing too many things. So just kind of let that one slide and walk into something new, because there's somebody out there for you. Any last advice you would give anybody out there who, for one, wants to get in a relationship, who's waiting on to be in a relationship because they're single, and they're just feeling, because sometimes around this time of Valentine's Day, there's some, grumpy people. And the thing is, I want people to be able to look at Valentine's Day as a positive thing, because you want to celebrate love. Love is beautiful, and it's like something that we should definitely celebrate, whether you're in a relationship or not. It's just something we should all be happy around that time, every day, all day, because loving, it doesn't have to be just with a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend. It can just be with your family, your friends. That's love as well. So what is something that you guys can leave? Any last final word?
I think if you are looking for a relationship, just don't have any expectations. Just be open to all the possibilities that are out there, and just build a friendship. That's what's important. And yeah, I think setting expectations will just leave you with disappointments if that's not met. And yeah, I just think that, just build a relationship based on friendships, and I think that will go a long way.
Dwayne, with the final word.
I'm going to say it's difficult to get something that you want if it's all that you're focused on, especially with a relationship, because there's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes with that. So I would really just say, take a look at your own life and how much joy you have in that life, and try to maximize that while being open to including other people in it. And that's the best way to do it, because there's nothing more attractive than someone that loves life, loves their life, and loves where they're at. So the last piece of advice that I would give is really just take a look at the kind of person that you want to end up with in terms of values and how they are, how they treat you, how they treat people around them. And then look internally and say, okay, what kind of person would attract someone like that? If that's really what you're aiming for, like, create that joy, create those things within yourself. And like, you'll begin to attract people that have those qualities, right? Like, if you want someone that's really generous, and you're someone who's giving in church, and like, in terms of serving, if you're volunteering, if you're there for your friends, if you're putting yourself out there, you're going to be exposed to other people who are generous, and those qualities will kind of be built into the people around you, right? So I think a lot of it begins internally, and it's not just, don't want a relationship. It's don't make it your focus. Like, turn your reflection internally and look for that joy in your own life and the kind of qualities that you need to have to attract the kind of person that you want.
Just to piggyback on that, for sure, I would say just focus on yourself. Love yourself first, because I feel in order to love others, you need to love yourself. Like 100%. Accept everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the everything about yourself. And of course, you will be able to do that for others and accept others, and of course be drawing in that person who will see that in you, and because they see that you are happy with who you are, that can attract the person to you as well. And more so, just like, enjoy the days you're given. And I like what you said about don't have it be your focus. It's true. I think a lot of times, though, we look at the time, like we look at our age, like, I'm pushing 30 and I'm not in a relationship, things like that. Or it's like, a relationship shouldn't have a set time, like when you should be in one. I mean, maybe you might be in a family that may be pressuring you because they want grandkids, things like that, which is, I guess, I'm sorry, you can't help it. It happens. But at the end of the day, focus on you, and your timing in a relationship will happen in the right time that you need a relationship, because we're putting time on everything. We're living in a fast-paced life. Everything's just go, 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 that we're not taking the time to really do self-care, self-love, mental health, all those things for us to really get ourselves in a right place to even be able to handle a relationship. That's why a lot of divorce percentages and stuff like that happens, because maybe the people who jumped in a relationship too soon didn't take the time to work on themselves. So it's really important to make sure you're okay and where you are at in life, and know where you're going at life individually. And then when that person joins you on that journey, you should, you're just doing that journey with them, but at the same time, you're still loving and accepting and being there for you as well as the person who's with you, because you can do that for yourself, you can do that for them. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you like it. Click that like button down below. Thank you, Dwayne and Felicia, for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. So great, so great. I also have here just something I read usually during the Valentine's Day season just to give a better understanding of what love is. So I'd like to share this with you guys because it's definitely something that teaches me about love and encourages me as well. So here it is. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs, does not delight in evil, rejoice with the truth, always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves, never fails. Happy Valentine's Day, you guys. If you like what you heard, click that like button. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. And remember to follow us on social media platforms that are on the links down below. You can listen to us on this podcast on Podbean and YouTube. We will be posting every Tuesday. So let's spread the positivity together, guys. Thanks again. Bye.